The next person I'm bringing on is someone that has been a huge inspiration to me. He's someone that's also a fellow student with Rabbi Abrahams. I want to bring on someone that's become a dear friend of mine, Daniel Steinberg. How are you? This is the first time for me to see you.
The first time seeing you as well.
Hold on one second. Hold that thought. I have no audio out here. Maybe it's the speakers need to be turned up. All right, say something again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little louder, a little louder on the speakers, guys. All right, beautiful. Now I hear you.
Oh, all right.
So we've spoken before. It's so great to see your visage along with your voice. I just wanted to bring you on, Daniel, because you've been such an inspiration, been so dedicated to your learning. If you would just sort of tell the audience your story of how you came across and found Torch, and starting with where are you located?
I'm in Freeland, Pennsylvania, northeast Pennsylvania, about 45 minutes from Scranton.
Okay. And I know you don't have a lot of rabbis roaming the streets in your neighborhood, from what I understand.
No, I'm originally from Connecticut, but I've been living in Kentucky for a while after that. And I've never actually met an Orthodox rabbi or an Orthodox individual in my life, actually. So, and I've been studying Hebrew for a number of years, 6, maybe 7 now. And I was lucky to come across your podcast and was able to learn so much through that and reach out to you guys as well.
I appreciate it. Now, I think you first got into contact with Rabbi Yosef Wolbe through his podcast, correct?
Yeah, I emailed him on an email I never used by mistake. And I assumed, because I've reached out before, maybe a handful of times, and never heard back. And then 2 months later, I opened that email and he had emailed me right back. And I was so surprised. And I was able to email him back, and he's helped me so much since then.
So which one of his podcasts did you first connect with?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, which podcasts of Rabbi Yosef Wolbe's did you first come across as you were looking for a Jewish podcast? Which one did you first find that you started listening to?
I was studying the Pirkei Avot, and he has a wonderful podcast that goes through the ethics of the fathers, and I thought those were very interesting. And the Parashah course is always informative, and he has a great ability to make it so I can even understand it, which is not the easiest thing to do.
I'm right there with you. That's the sign of a brilliant rabbi, when they can distill it down. I tell them it's like take complex concepts and turn it into baby food and stick it in my mouth so my simple mind can digest it.
I know my wife's much smarter than I am, and I'll try explaining to her something, and by the end of me explaining to her, I don't understand it anymore because I can't make it like he can, and just easier to understand. She's like, I don't follow you here.
So I know you started listening to my podcast and you reached out to me, and I gave you a call, and we've talked a lot over the last several months, and I was just blown away by the level of study that you are now doing. I mean, share with the audience, what your study curriculum has looked like and your schedule.
Well, I work third shift, so I work 8-hour nights. It used to be 10-hour days, 10-hour nights. And I try to study at least 5 hours a day, every day. And then I try to do 8 on the weekends, which I could probably do more, but I'll try to sleep in a little bit on the weekends. So,
it's Shabbos. You should be sleeping in some, but that's amazing. So when you told me, and just for the audience, when I was talking to Daniel, he was telling me like how much he's studying, I was like, you need a rabbi, right? And you were absolutely grateful to have it. And I helped coordinate and hook you up with studying with Rabbi Abrahams. Tell me about that experience, what's been like, what it's meant for you.
That's just been indispensable. There's just no way around it. I mean, there's so much you can learn from a book. I've always learned by myself. I never graduated high school. So I've taught myself biblical Hebrew on my own. I taught myself a lot more on the academic level than or the scholarly level than the religious, because that's just much more available in book wise. But to have that rabbi as a guidance to guide you through, like right now we're studying the Mishnah Berurah. I mean, there's no way I could tackle that on my own. It'd be almost be impossible. So many questions. Some of them silly. Like I asked him, "Do you really put your right shoe on first and tie the left?" And he said, "Yeah." And if someone I respect and look up to does it, then I reflect on it. Okay, maybe there's something to this that I just missed last year out of hand. And so it's just to have someone guiding you like that is you can't put, you can't exaggerate the effect of that. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I remember when I first learned that there's a proper way to put on your shoes. My daughter, when we were about to experience Shabbos for the first time, and I was sort of going over what I knew about the laws of Shabbos, what we could do and what we couldn't do, and we're going to enjoy it together. And she was like, "It's overwhelming. It's like there's so much to do." And I was like, "Well, the most important thing you should know that I know is that I barely know anything." So, but I told her about everything I'd done up to that point. And she literally said, "Dad, it's like you've had to learn how to tie your shoes." And I said, "No, it's literally, I just learned how to tie my shoes the right way. I was doing it the wrong way." But when you contemplate like the significance of what it represents and the fact that when like you probably experienced too, when you start to get ready in the morning, you're like, your consciousness and your thought is totally on God. Your thoughts aren't going everywhere because like, okay, right shoe, left shoe, tie the left shoe. Right. I mean, have you experienced that too?
Yeah, it's completely amazing. It changes how you start your very day. Every aspect of it, you start to realize that there's an aspect of God to be involved, at least the thought and idea of God to be present with you at all times. So I always emphasize not caring what I wear, really, and just throwing on anything out the door,
Right.
the quickest way possible. And this made me actually slow down and say, okay, this stuff actually matters. Little things in your life matters that add up to there's a rule of 1% change, and I believe in that, changing 1% of your life consistently, and that all adds up to changing your life completely in a way.
Absolutely. Because I think what the sages are directing us to and trying to help us with is, how do we focus our thoughts? And I know, like, I used to be in the morning where my thoughts would just go to whatever random place they wanted to go to. And every mitzvah, the morning is about just keeping your thoughts focused in the right place. And that leads to everything else positive that comes out of your life.
Yeah, it's really amazing how I'm nowhere near where I'd like to be at all, but it's that slow build, and you can feel the change happening in your life, which is an amazing experience. The reorientating your whole life towards another goal. It's just an amazing experience.
Yeah. Well, that's why I've been so impressed with you, because for one, you have that humility. I mean, most people I know, unless they're living in yeshiva, are not studying 5 hours, plus a day. And your level of dedication is what just sort of blew me away. And then to have the humility that comes along with this, I just always knew, like, this guy, when I was talking to Rabbi Abrahams about you, he is going to be amazing. Like, I can see like the future value version of yourself. And I see great things from you. And that's why I'm just so thankful that the rabbis at Torch came up with this idea of Torch Plus, making sure that everyone has access to a rabbi, because while the podcast, I know you've enjoyed learning from Rabbi Wolbe through the podcast. I mean, like you said, in the end, we need a rabbi, right?
You really do. It's just, I didn't realize how much, and I was nervous about, obviously, because I've never spoken to a rabbi before, and but you don't realize how much, just you get stuck on the simple things that most people would probably just walk over and not think twice about, but to you they become more and more significant. Without that guidance, you want to being stuck on the minor thing at the beginning of the path.
Right. And when I was, I don't know if you heard me earlier in the last segment when I was talking to Rabbi Abrahams, but we were talking about like that the students, they guide what subject they want to learn, right? And that's sort of what the process you guys went through together to figure out what you wanted to work on together.
Yeah, I told him my goals, and and he was able to guide me in the way to reach those goals. And I think the Mission of Barura, I've never even read about, is just an amazing book. It's a commentary on how to live life. I just find it amazing.
Yeah. Wonderful. Is there anything you would like to share with the world, those listening, about Torch, what's met to you, the value that this organization is bringing to the Jewish people? Anything else you'd like to share in that respect?
Well, I'm very nervous. I've never done one of these before, a conference call, or really, besides a Zoom class. But I will say that Torch doesn't just help me; it's helped my whole family. My wife, we have a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old about to be 3, and it's really affecting the whole family and guiding the whole family towards this goal. And without that, we would be stuck. At least I'd be stuck in a scholarly academic aspect of Judaism, never be able to cross over into, where the whole family would like to be in the future.
Yeah, you share with me an amazing story. I think a night or two ago, of how your learning and the influence that's bringing to the house is impacting your family. Where you were saying you're pouring your child a glass of milk, and your wife reminded you that they just had meat and they were fleshing, right? Is that the story?
That's it. Yeah, my son was like, "You want some milk?" He's about to be 3, and I just not thinking. I start pouring him milk, and my wife said, "Whoa, you can't do that. We just had meat." And I was like, "Oh, wow, you're right,
That's
honey.
amazing.
I forgot about that."
That's it's such amazing, because you're right. It's the whole family, and your influence. Rabbi Abrahams is influencing you, and you're influencing them, and it's definitely, say, in this goal of learning more Torah and becoming closer to God. It's a family endeavor,
It definitely, like if I had my dreams come true, God willing, it'll be, when I'm old, I'm looking at my children, grandchildren, all being, observant and living the fulfilled life where, the main thing in life is God and how much that brings to your life, not just, material gains or such.
Absolutely. Amen. I hope, may God give you all those blessings, because that's what I want too. I didn't want my daughter to grow up to the age of 40, being an atheist like me. I wanted her to know Torah. Once I understood it, I wanted her to know it from the beginning, and have and start at a young age, and do much better in life as a result of that knowledge early on. So I'm right there with you, wanting that same thing for my family, to give that to the next generation.
I will say I love your podcast, by the way, because Rabbi Wolbe seems to be what to look at the goal, but you've shown me how the steps in the process of getting there, and you know where I'm coming from in a way. So I just want to say I do love your podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. The goal with mine was, while I'm going through the process, and sometimes right there at the same level as someone, or maybe I'm just a few steps ahead, but they're watching me along the way. I'm taking them through it. Like when I moved to a community, I just wanted to share everyone, here's what it's like. And that's the goal. And I've told you, I want to have you on there as well one day to continue to share your story. So again, if you're watching, you're hearing a perfect example of someone out there that found us through the podcast, began learning one-on-one with the rabbi. This comes as a result of our donor support. So please go to givetorch.com and support us today, so we can still find more Jews like Daniel that are thirsty for Torah wisdom, and that we can make sure that every Jew out there has Torah and has a rabbi to teach them. Thank you so much, Daniel, for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time to do so.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everything.
All right. Take care.